When did I find out that photography was my calling? I wouldn't say that I found photography and decided that it was my calling. Instead, it kind of fell into my life. I grew up an artist. I've always been an artist. I was a dancer and actor and all of those things. And when everything in your life is based on something visual, you get drawn towards those things. And photography was a huge part of that. So I was photographing things for fun, for absolute pleasure, and I loved it as a hobby. It then became a business later on because I was so passionate about it. So I would say it fell into my lap, and then I decided, okay, let's do it. And the way that I work is, if I'm going to do something, I'm just like full ball into it 100%, and that's how it became my life. Is a photographer an observer or a storyteller? I would say that it depends what type of photographer you are, but I'd say it's more of a storyteller. The reason is, if you're a true observer, that means that whatever you're shooting shouldn't know that you exist. So that would mean you set up a camera and you just happen to capture whatever's there. But as a storyteller, you're involved in the story. You're trying to capture the action and actually tell the story of what's going on. But because you're there, you can't help but have a bit of an influence on what's going on. So you have a voice. It's not about, oh, I'm just gonna stand back here and kind of be a fly on the wall. I've always got a voice because I'm choosing my angle, I'm choosing what lens I'm using, I'm choosing the color grade. And if I'm doing those things, there's no way that I can't have an opinion. My opinion is baked into that file, and therefore that's the story that I've decided to tell. And I think that's kind of true for every photographer. Digital or film? Right now, digital. If you are wanting to be a photographer and be professional and make money from it, because you've got to get it out there and you've got to work in the format that the industry works in. The industry, 99.999% of the industry is digital, so you got to shoot digital. For me personally, I started in film. I shot on my Nikon F55 on film, 35mm. I actually shot on slide, and I had a 1960s slide projector, and I would slide it onto my bedroom wall, project it, and look at the images. That's how I learned everything. I had a notebook that I would do my settings, write down my settings, go and shoot, and then I would, after the fact, a month later, kind of look at the two different things and see what worked better. By doing that, I managed to learn the theories of photography. I managed to break down what everything did. So when I convert into digital, everything's seamless and really easy. And the reality is, most of the time when we're editing a digital file, we're just trying to replicate the aesthetic of a film file. So you got to shoot digital, but you're probably going to end up making it look like film. Single best tip I could give any photographer would be, if you're not shooting, you're not a photographer. So you got to shoot more. You got to be taking photos, like all the time, whether it's paid or whether it's not paid. It's very easy in photography to get stuck on equipment. We all know that, you just got to shoot with what you've got. But I cannot implore that information enough. I cannot forcefully tell people, take more photos, just more of them every day or whenever you can. Set up things and get technical about it. Don't just be, oh, I'm just gonna get a snapshot. Every time you pull out your phone, what's the best shot, excuse me, what's the best shot for that situation? So even on an iPhone, get on the floor and shoot low or shoot high, whatever that might be. Make sure that you're shooting often and every shot you take is a decision, not just happenstance. So I was a performer for a long time, and now I'm a photographer and a filmmaker. How have those things helped me in business? I think dramatically. Personally, business is an art form, without a doubt. You can't just be a businessman. Okay, you have to treat it like you would treat a child, or treat it like a blank canvas that you're going to decide to paint, or treat it like an empty roll of film that you're going to decide what you're going to shoot. Every business conversation that you go into, or every business decision that you make, has to be treated with ultimate care and with a precise decision. And then the other side of it is, just like the arts and just like being creative, it's got to be fun, and you've got to be able to take risks, like massive risks. As an actor, you walk on stage every single day, and yeah, you've got your script and you've got everything that you've learned, but you walk onto an audience and you don't know if they're going to like what you do. That's a huge risk. It's also live, so if something goes wrong, you got to fix it right now. That's the same for business. So for business, as you walk into a meeting, you don't really know, even if you're really well planned, you don't know how the meeting's going to go. And you've got to kind of figure things out to work with your audience, which is the person that you're doing business with. And things go wrong all the time. You can see it as a mistake, or you can just see it as a challenge that you need to overcome. And that's what you have to do in theater and in photography as well. You can make all the, pre-decisions that you want. You can plan all of your shoots, but things always change. The lighting's different. The client wants something different on set. The model is showed up wearing something different. You can't shoot at the location that you've chosen that you want to shoot at. Those aren't things that make you fail, those are just challenges that you've got to overcome. And it's the same thing in business. So I actually see business as an art form, and I now love that just as much as I do being a photographer, being a filmmaker, and I spend far more time doing business than I do being a creator, which in some ways is disappointing because I got into this so that I could be a creator, but at the same time, when I'm doing the business side of things, there's this little secret joy inside that is, can I overcome this business challenge and can I become successful through that? And so art, photography, theater, business, it's all the same thing. It's all just, finding the best creative way to overcome a problem. What advice would I give 18-year-old Ed Gregory? I think if I could go back in time and change something about my life, I think I would decide not to change anything. The reason is I have not had a perfect life at all, but I've enjoyed every challenge that I've had. I've enjoyed every mistake that I've made, and it's only made me who I am today. And I constantly strive to be proud of the man that I am and the artist that I am. And I had to go through all of those mistakes to get to where I was today. I had to choose one thing. I was going to say, not the bad thing, I was going to say invest in property. That's what I really would want to do, like invest in property like 15 years ago, just that I kind of had that going on, which has nothing to do with my industry. But in reality, if I'd have done that, I may not have taken the risks that I've taken. I've moved all over the world because I was never tied down to anything. So I think, in fact, you know what I would say? I would go back and I'd say, just keep doing what you're doing with confidence and love and respect, and take that path. That's the path that I've tried to take, but I just want to kind of tell myself that that's the right thing to do. Did I have a mentor or a guide on my journey? I actually haven't had a specific mentor and guide at all. I never have done in my life. I've been influenced by absolutely everything in my life, all my friends, my family, people that I do business with. I listen to everything that's going on and try and figure out the best way to get through a situation. A specific mentor I haven't had, but I will say this. Life will teach you every lesson. I do not ever think that I know enough or that I have the answer to anything. The industry that I'm in right now, of making films and doing photography, I've had no formal training at all. I learned everything from YouTube videos, from courses online, from all sorts of just things, just trying to be a sponge to take in as much information as I could. And then the biggest thing is active learning, is taking what I learn and then go out and do something with it and actually physically take part in what I just learned. So replicate it, do whatever. And that's how I've done all of my learning, is by taking action and moving things forward, and been influenced by literally every single person that I meet. Like everybody. I don't think I've ever met anybody who I've had more than probably a 5-minute conversation with who hasn't in some way influenced something in my life, even as a small thing. What do I consider success to be, and have I achieved it? For me, success is something which is very personal. I think that the idea of having a number or an ultimate success, or when is it that you're successful, I think that's something that's really dangerous, because what you do is you strive for something that essentially you go, once I've achieved it, there's nothing after that. So essentially you're setting yourself up to fail for the rest of your life. That is not something that I'm interested in. I think for me, success is something that you decide. It's like a dream. Okay, you dream about something, and do I believe that dreams come true? Hell yeah, they do. Dreams come true every day. what you got to do is decide that whatever your dream is that you're moving towards it. You can't go, oh, I want to walk on the moon, that's my dream, and then not try and become an astronaut. Like that means that your dreams are misaligned with your actions. So if you can align those things, you will find success every single day. So what I do is I align my dreams with my actions. So I figure out what I'm trying to achieve. I've got long-term dreams, goals, things that I want to do in life, and then I break them all down. So I've got the far distant ones, one in a year, one in 6 months, and I kind of break it all down. And then I've got dreams that I want to achieve every day, just that list of things. If I can get through the list of things that I wake up with in the morning, by the end of the day, I've been successful. Am I successful? Am I a success? I don't think that's for me to decide, but did I achieve something that day? Yes, and ultimately, that's what makes me successful. The other thing that I think is really important, there is at no moment, at no point ever in my career have I aligned success with money, ever. It doesn't come up in the same conversation, it's never discussed, it's never in the same sphere, it doesn't live in the same world. Money is just a thing. Success is a feeling, success is a lifestyle, success is like an emotion that you live with every day, that you share with people. Money is just a currency. So when it comes to success, for me, it's based on your experience and can you move towards some ultimate dream. And then have I been successful? This is a really interesting one. I think that I'm proud of a lot of the things that I've done. I'm also proud of a lot of my failures because they've allowed me to get to where I'm going to. But I see success on a personal level like this. It's just a series of mountains that I'm standing at the bottom of a mountain and I'm like, I want to get to the top of that. But I always have the knowledge that that's not the only mountain. I just can't see the next ones yet. So I climb to the top of the mountain, and what I find really important is I never climb a mountain on other people's shoulders. That's not the game. As I'm going up the mountain, I want to take as many people as I can with me. But the important thing is they got to be putting in the effort too. I'm not dragging somebody up the mountain. But if you want to come, let's go to the top together because it's way more fun as a group of people. So we get to the top when I take as many people as I can who wants to join the journey, and then you get to the top. And what's important about when you get to the top, you've got two ways of doing things. One way of doing it is to get to the top, turn around and be like, I did it, I'm successful. I would never do that. That is not something that I would feel comfortable with or I think is actual success. That's turning around and showing off to the people below you how great you are. I think it's the opposite. You get to the top, it's been a hard work, it's been effort, you've been carrying all this on the back, you've been helping people. You get to the top, you take a moment to breathe and you find that level of, oh, I did it at the top. But because you're still facing this way, all you do is you just see the next mountain in front of yourself. And so it's that moment of like, wow, we got this far, but wow, there's just another mountain to go to. And the biggest thing is to get to that next mountain, you got to go down and go back up. There's no shortcut, there's no zip lines. So for me, success has been that my whole life. You know, I was a ballet dancer, a tap dancer. I was nominated for the British Tap Award. I did all of those things when I was young. I then realized that I was never going to be a massively successful ballet dancer. I was never going to be in the Royal Ballet. So I switched out and I started doing comedy and clowning and physical theatre. Went to theatre school to do that, opened my own theatre company, and found success there. But when I got to the top as well, it was always like, what's next? What else can I do? I then stumbled into Blue Man and I got to the top of that world of entertainment and my career as a comic actor, as a clown. And when I got there, I was like, this is incredible. And I enjoyed it up there, but then I was like, what's next? And then photography, filmmaking, running a creative studio, that was the next part of that journey. So it was just straight down the other side and start climbing again. And that's been my whole journey. And I hope for the rest of my life, that's all I do. I just keep doing the same thing. Down and back up, and down and back up, taking people with us. That's it. Do I have a running message or theme with my work? I mean, there's obviously a style that I shoot in, but we do a lot of client work. I definitely moved away from just being a photographer for art and I made it a career. So therefore, we work with a lot of clients. And so we're producing work for them. So basically we follow that lead. But in business, in running my studio, is there a common theme? Yes, we have a couple of slogans that we use in the studio. We use them all the time. And one of the ones is like, we get shit done. Like that is the number one thing, is like we move things forward. If there's an idea, if there's something happening, we'll have a call, we're like, yep, let's make it happen. We move it forward and we get it over the finish line. That is the number one thing that we do. Everybody in this studio works that way. And when it comes to our work, it's the common theme with working with me is the work is a guarantee. The experience is the thing that we spend all the time on. So we don't talk about how great the work is. We don't talk about, is it going to be good enough? Is it sharp? Is it going to be well edited? Nothing like that. We never talk about those things. That's a guarantee, because if we're not able to deliver those things, we shouldn't be in the industry. So instead, what we spend all of our time on is the experience, making sure that the client feels comfortable, making sure that it's fun, making sure that the experience is when they leave, they're like, oh, that was easy. That kind of just happened. They didn't have to think about anything. And then they get the work that was guaranteed, and it just happens. So that's the major theme that I try and work within is my work always improving, getting better than my last work? Is it what the client wanted, and was it delivered on time? If I did all of those things, then I'm happy and the clients are happy. So my studio's on fire. I can grab one piece of equipment, instantly my head goes hard drives. That's the hard drives to the work that we've just shot. The reason is, as soon as we've shot anything in this studio, it gets backed up to the cloud. Like everything, within like 12 hours, it's already backed up. We have over 100 terabytes in the cloud stored, and we have access to it always. But if we've just done a shoot, that's the only thing that matters. Everything else is replaceable. Outside of that, my staff is the first thing that would go. But if it had to be an object and that we already had everything backed up, it would be my current notebook. I always have a notebook. It's a black notebook with squared paper inside it. It's a moleskin squared paper. Always have it, always making notes. There is no organization in the book whatsoever. It's just the next thing that comes up goes on the next page, or the same page, just a line and it goes. It's filled with everything. I've got a lot of them, and it's got everything in my life right there. So if I can't take all of them, I take my most current book, because it's got literally everything in it. Is there a photograph that always stops me in my tracks? There's a photographer that I would say would always make me stop. Helmut Newton is one of my all-time favorite photographers, and there's a couple of photographs of his that are they're just like the perfection. There's one that he's got, it's shot in New York, and it's in a building. It's actually of a nude lady, and she's looking out of a window. She see the streets below, and she's relaxing in the bed. You can't see anything, and then you see the street, and it's just perfection. Another one of his was shot in Paris. It's a black and white picture. It's a girl wearing, she's got like this black suit on, but it's open, she's topless, and it's this beautifully lit street, and it's just a moment in time that was just captured that is just perfection for me. Have I ever experienced VR before VRLU? Yes, I've experienced VR before. I was at an event. I've experienced it a few different ways, but the most memorable one, I was at this event and it had like this egg. So I put the headset on, and you kind of get in this egg, and that's what makes it really quiet. It's all like black velvet, and they had a number of setups that you could kind of select, and this is the one that they selected for me. Started off, and you can look around, you know, in the world that they've created, and then you fly up in the air. And what's crazy about VR is it trips out the brain that just makes you so believe that you're right there. And then I guess I watched somebody afterwards, the egg just tilted back like 3 inches. That was it. But it lifted your feet off the ground, and it felt like you were flying. It was the trippiest thing. And then you basically flew around a bit. So you moved around. But it was this thing where you really did feel like, I guess it's one of those seats that takes the weight off you, and so it gave you this weightless thing, but literally it like tilted back like an inch, and then it moved like this. But it matched so well that it messed with your brain in a way that made you go, I can't figure it out, and then you just give in, and then you're just in this virtual world. I absolutely loved it. It was great. What would I like to see on the VRLU platform? Well, it's a learning platform, so anything which is creative in the creative industries, and really what I would love to see next is something that uses VR very specifically to teach something that can only be taught in VR. So I don't know what that means because I'm not in that world, but essentially if you were to imagine a thing which is like you can only learn this by laying on the floor with your feet in the air with a headset on, that's the only way you're doing it. If you're not wearing a headset, it doesn't make sense. Or you have to go crawling through things, or something which is like really kind of immersive, but something which is impossible. And that's what I just talked about, that I did VR before. That's what was so cool about it. Was I was at this event and then I was in this egg and I flew. I could only experience that in VR because I can't wear a jetpack and fly. Like, that's not something that I can do. So that's what I'd like to see. Somebody find something educational like that. I absolutely loved filming for VRLU. I'd never seen, so I'm in the film world, I'm in the photography world, and I'd never seen one of these bold cameras with all of these things going on, and I was trying to understand it. I can't, because it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's really clever. And so, first of all, as just a guy that loves tech, I thought it was freaking awesome. But then the magic of just like, oh, just put it there and then just kind of do your thing and then it does everything was a magical kind of thing to do. But I also enjoyed the challenges of it, because I'm used to, like right now, you guys can't see, but there's lights literally all over the place and they're just out of the shot. With VR, there is no just out of the shot. It's just all in the shot. So for me, it's kind of terrifying because I see it and I'm like, oh my word, I don't know how I'd be able to do this, because we usually have cable runs and all this messy stuff everywhere and nobody gets to see it, and now everybody gets to see all of it. So I definitely loved learning about this new medium, this new kind of technology and how it works. So yeah, I had a great time doing it, and the team that does this, they're just so cool. I love it. What do I want people to take away from my VRLU experience is I want people to have learned something about photography, about the world of photography and what it takes to be successful. And what I'd love people to be able to do is be a little bit more immersed in the world from my course than you would do from any other photography course that's out there. It's something which is on the edge of technology, it's something which has never been done before, it's all brand new, and I think it's a really intelligent, clever medium. And what I would love people to do would take that experience and hopefully imprint more of the knowledge into their body than they would do just sit watching something on YouTube.